What's up, friends, family, real estate people? Thanks and welcome back. We are here today with Jay Bourgana. We're here to pick his brain because Jay is a successful team leader, and we want to know, we want to learn, we want to grow, and we want to find out how he got to where he's at, what they're doing now, and where they're going. Because the key to growth is education and knowing how to get somewhere. So Jay, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. How are you?
Are we good? Are we on or?
This is it.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Excellent. How are you?
I'm great. It's another day in quarantine.
Yeah.
So Jay, who are you? We know you're a successful team leader at Homearly Real Estate, but who are you and how did you get to where you're at?
So my name is Jay Bourgana. I was born and raised in Morocco. I started in banking for about 5 years. I did anything from retail to business banking. I decided that I wanted to travel more, so I moved to California and worked for a company that did manufacturing of home decor, food products, and health and beauty products. They had operations all over the United States as well as manufacturing in China. So part of that 5 years I worked there, I spent about 3 or 4 years in China helping build their operations, their manufacturing, and then build the supply chain. In '07, we went through the economic recession, the Great Recession,
Right.
and came back, worked for a couple companies, up as a supply chain director, as well as doing consulting for helping operations kind of improve their productivity. And that's where really I learned how to build teams and how to build processes and procedures and how to create value propositions that are consistent, predictable, and add value to the customers. So around 2013, I decided that I needed a break from traveling 100% of the time, and bought a property. I fixed it up. I saw that the value went up really fast, and I was intrigued. Yeah, I was intrigued by the real estate space.
Attention, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I was smart, but it was just the market, and I really didn't really add. It became really nice, and it grew in value pretty quickly as the market recovered, and then I was intrigued by the whole real estate space, and I thought that we probably could add more value to it. So I went and got my license, started working for a real estate office.
What year is this?
This is around 13, 14, yeah. 2013, 2014.
2013, okay.
Yeah, and I started working for an office that was essentially a cold calling office, Mike Ferry office. It was a great office. I learned a lot there. Prospecting, yeah, I learned a lot, and I appreciate the people that guided me there that first year. And I did well comparatively, and then I felt after a year and a half that it wasn't a sustainable way of growing a business, and I needed something more predictable, something more scalable.
Gotcha.
And and that's where I got intrigued by the internet space, essentially the internet lead generation space, and we started.
So like Zillow, like lead generation sources like that.
Yeah, Realtor.com, Zillow, Facebook ads, pay-per-click ads. So we, in that first year, as we started building the team, we started essentially dabbling in everything, testing everything, trying to figure out what converts, what doesn't, what are the rates of conversions, and what needs to happen for each, types of lead generation. And then essentially that's when we grew the team. We went from 10, 12 transactions to 30 transactions to 90 transactions to 180 transactions to 250 transactions. So we kept growing from there.
Let me rewind back a quick sec just for everyone who's dissecting it. After the first year, how many listings did you sell, or how many homes did you sell after the first year?
The first year, about 10 transactions.
10 transactions. And then when did you see incremental growth? Like from first year, now you're in your 7th year essentially, right? So
Yeah.
After, what was your growth period in those 7 years?
What do you mean?
Well, like after your 2nd year, how many homes did you sell?
Oh, the 2nd year we sold about 30 homes.
Wow. Okay. And then just currently right now, what did you guys do last 12 months?
The last 12 months, about 400.
400 homes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is 10x, more than 10x.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to break you out. I just wanted to stop you for a quick second just to let people see how much the growth has been. So go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So essentially, you know, as the team develops and grew, you know, new challenges, new opportunities, and you know, we've been growing since. So we in a lot mid 2018 or early 2018, we connected with First Team. We were at the time essentially a KW team. We had our own office in Brea, and we had a satellite office in Tustin, and we connected with First Team. First Team acquired 70% share of our team, and we moved to First Team. I don't think a lot of teams get acquired at all, if they ever do, but it was pretty interesting to go through that process as if we were essentially a brokerage. Gotcha. And it was a great learning opportunity for us as well, and you know, allowed us to you know, to keep growing and keep that momentum that we've had in the past. And you know, so there are a little bit of adjustments and stuff, but you know, it's we've just been growing since then.
That's awesome. And what were some of the biggest hurdles you had to overcome in that growth period to get from 10 deals to 400 deals?
Well, it's essentially the same like any other first time, you know, first new agent in the business. And when I came to the industry, I couldn't understand how it can operate like a multi-level marketing operation. That's what most brokerages are. You come in as an individual, you either have a database or build your own database of clients, and then you prospect and you do your own thing. And you might have your own set of processes, or you may not have any at all, and the way you run your business the way you do it. So for me, I couldn't wrap my head around that part. So that was my first challenge, is to essentially figure out a way what that client experience should look like. You know, what do we want? And that's what we always start from there. We always start from the client experience first. What's the goal? What are our client need to have? What do they need? What kind of service or product we need to deliver that's going to provide that you know, 5, 6, 7 star experience? And then so once we have that, then we figure out what is the process that's going to deliver that. And then once we figure out the process, then we figure out the people that are going to be able to execute on that process. And once we do that, then we figure out what is the technology, the layer that's going to help the people execute on that promise. And then once we do that, then we say, how can we scale that? And then how, you know, once we do that, then we look at what kind of leadership, what kind of team management we need to have to be able to hold the team and the people accountable, help them, support them to grow and, you know, achieve their goals. And then once we do that, then what kind of culture do we want to have for the whole thing to keep it sticky and keep it tight? And then, you know, repeat. You know, as we grow, there are new sets of challenges that are going to force us to change those processes, that are going to force us to change the people, the technology, and then so forth. So you go into that same cycle, but the steps are the same. You start with the end in mind, which is the client experience.
Gotcha.
And then you take it from there.
Build outward from that client experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, do you see like people problems ever coming up? I mean, I'm assuming you probably have a pretty big team to be able to handle that many transactions. how many agents are currently on your team?
It's give or take about 28, 20, 30, between 28 and 30. It depends on the day. Yeah, and then we're constantly growing. We're constantly adding new team members. Yeah. To go back to that client experience, one of the things that we essentially, focus on a lot is just providing that personalized experience. And when we talk about, we're talking about it from the client side as well as the agent side. So we want to understand, and it starts with understanding who are we delivering that experience to. So our team's name is Homearly, and I get this question all the time: what does that even mean? And for us to understand our clients and to understand what they're about, we need to understand their personality. We need to understand their lifestyle, what their goals are. So there's nothing better to know what is the lifestyle that our client wants or is dreaming about. Is to ask that question. Hey, when you have a couple hours off work early, when you leave work early, what do you do when you're at home? Now we're in the COVID-19 world, so it's kind of weird to ask that question. But in the normal, a couple months ago, you would ask that question, and the client will say, well, I like to take my dog out for a walk, or I like to, pour a glass of wine and watch my favorite show, or I like to work on my car, or I like to go play basketball in my community. So that question, what do you do when you go home early, opens up a slew of other questions, but it starts that conversation around understanding the client lifestyle and the desired lifestyle, and also
properly put them in the house, right?
Say it again.
So that you could properly adjust their needs to where to.
Yes, absolutely. So it starts with understanding who they are, and then connected them with the right agent who matches that profile, who's gonna have a smooth and have a flow connection relationship with that client. And then together, they're going to be able to find that perfect, property that's going to deliver that lifestyle. Because that's what we essentially do. People don't buy 3-bedroom, 2-baths. They buy a certain lifestyle. They buy that property on the beach, or that property in the suburbs, or being close to work, or being close to the Spectrum, or being close to downtown Santa Ana and all the restaurants and stuff. So there's a certain lifestyle, or being close to a good school, specific school. And that's the specific lifestyle that clients look for. And that's what we try to deliver. That's kind of part of our promise, our client experience promise. In the same way for the agents. So for our agents, we want to deliver a certain experience. Obviously, we want them to succeed. That's the first thing. But also, we want them to have an environment where they're going to be happy, and they're going to be a place that they want to go back to every day. They want to spend more time within the team than they do outside the team. So we try to understand who they are, what their goals are, what their dreams are. Sometimes we have to help them self-discover those things, self-discover their goals and their dreams, self-discover themselves, understand who they are, what their personality is like, and then understand who their ideal client's profile is, and guide them through that process, put a plan for them, whether it is a year plan, a 5-year plan, or even a 10-year plan. And right now, we're in the down cycle, so kind of a reminder for us all, when we plan, we should be planning not only a year or 2 years, but we should be planning a full cycle, a full economic cycle. And so it allows us to put a plan like that for them, and to match them with a team leader that's going to fit their personality profile, and make sure that the team leader understands their profile, and serve them and help them and guide them the way they want to be guided.
So I heard you say a couple of things here that I kind of want to dive into. You said that we match our leads up with our people. We match our people up with our team leaders. So tell me a little bit more about that. You have tell me about the structure of your team, and how you go about, aligning people with certain clients or prospects. I'm sure people would love to hear that. It sounds like you have a very client-centered business, in order to permeate that throughout your organization, you make sure everything is person-centered. Can you go into a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the foundation of our team starts with contribution and growth. So when we talk about contribution, is being client-centric first, being community-centric, being team-centric. So we put our clients first before us. We put the team first before the individual. We put the agent first before the leader. So in that order, in that aspect, we want we train our agents, when they first start with us, to identify and understand who they are first, understand who their ideal client profile, and then and learn how to identify the different types of personalities and psychographics and lifestyles as they start communicating with clients. So that's part of our beginner training.
Right.
And all our agents start as inside sales associates, and then they move into buyers agents associates, and then they move into listing agents, and then they have an opportunity to be team leaders, because some people want to be team leaders, some people don't. So it's something that you either have within you, or and you desire to develop, or you don't. So we have a path, a career path for our agents, and within each step or each module, they're constantly being trained. That's the growth part of our foundation, is the constant learning. We're a learning-based team. We're continuously learning. There's a flood of content that's provided, delivered, communicated. And we're constantly, because as we grow as individuals, we're going to grow as a team. And so our goal is to speed up the learning, speed up the growth of our individuals, so they can help more clients. So we like our agents to start on the buy side first, because they get to meet and understand the different personalities and the different lifestyles, as well as understand the communities as well that we serve. Our team is essentially is structured where we have a number of people that are on the buy side, we have a few people that are on the listing side, and then we have team leaders. And our goal is to get our agents to grow through that path, and self-discover and deliver that value proposition to our clients. We made it intentional from the beginning that our team is very diverse in terms of who they are and what their background is, and we have people that speak multiple languages. We have people that have traveled the world, we have people that have seen a lot of stuff. So it matches our community. When you look at Orange County, LA County, they're very diverse communities where multiple languages are spoken. So we have in our team, we have people that speak Spanish, we have people that speak Mandarin, we have to speak Cantonese, Korean, Tagalog, or you can name it, whatever language we have. And that allows us to not necessarily just communicate the language, but also understand the cultures, and understand how each culture, or sometimes it can be even different education level, different age level, different different groups mesh with different people. So once we recognize a client is a certain profile, then it's very easy.
Ooh, hello, Jay.
Yeah, lose you there for a minute.
Quick second, no worries. Continue.
Yeah. So once we understand, once we talk to someone, we might find out that this client is a baby boomer. Josh does really well with baby boomers. We might see this millennial. Sam does well with millennials. We might find this, there's so many different groups, so many different ethnographics that we like to match with people that they're gonna get in flow with, that they're gonna enjoy working with. Because what we say around here is if you're working with a client that's a perfect fit, you're gonna have more energy and you're gonna enjoy it so much that you're gonna be able to serve a lot more clients. And then when you're working with someone who's not a good fit, it drains your energy and it takes away your ability to serve more clients. And our goal is to allow our agents to be very productive, and be present and deliver the best experience. And so if they're full of energy and feeling good about themselves, they're going to be able to help a lot of people. If they
then going back to the client experience again, that's awesome.
Exactly.
And so, what are like the roles of the team leaders? You say that you have team leaders within it. People have the ability to become essentially a team leader of a team within a team. So
yeah, I mean,
more on that.
Yeah, so the team role is to train, to coach, to work on mindset, to work on technical stuff, tactical stuff, from scripting to presentation to technology to community knowledge to transaction knowledge to issues within the escrow process. So they essentially are the coaches for everything that has to do with doing the job, as well as your ability to organize yourself, manage your time, manage your energy, and top grade your skills. And essentially, their goal is to keep the agents trained, to serve them at a high level if they need anything whatsoever, to be the connection to all the resources that we have, to all the information that we have, and to guide them through the process. And if there are any issues, to help them solve their problems. And they hold, they train, they hold people accountable. They do the one-on-one meetings. They're present on the group meetings. They check in with the agents to find out, how they're feeling, how they're doing. And it's a constant collaboration with the agents to help them develop and grow and serve our clients at the highest level.
That's awesome. That's support for all agents essentially.
Absolutely. And the team leader's number one client is the agent. So the same way, the agent is customer first, the team leader is agent first.
Well, that's awesome. Now, you told me about using technology previously, and being able to basically align people with certain clients. Talk to me more about the technology you use in your business. How do you create the leads? Number one, right? We mentioned a little bit before about internet sites when you're starting up. What can you dive more into that? And then also, how do you manage all of it and be able to make sure that the right people are talking to the right prospects or clients?
So essentially our goal is to automate as much as possible. So everything goes through our CRM, and we have probably about 15, 20 different sources of leads, from we talked about the portals, the internet portals from Zillow, Realtor.com, and everything else. We have a lot of referral partners. We have a lot of financial institutions that we work that send us referrals. We have investors that send us their referrals. We have we run on and off anywhere, anything from radio to TV to YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Google ads. We have billboards. We have all kinds of marketing strategies based on the time of the year, based on where we are in the cycle, and based on the cost of these things, to be able to generate these opportunities for our agents. And so everything goes good.
So you're mentioning all these lead generation sources, et cetera. So this is something that you as a team leader pay for, and then do your agents have to pay for this themselves, or is this something that you cover? And then
no, that's part of our So that's a good question. That's part of our value proposition to our agents. So we take away the lead generation part of the whole business for them. So our agents do not have to go door knock or cold call or pay for leads or network or whatever they need to do to generate leads. They're definitely encouraged to work their database, and we help them build systems and processes and cadence for that, through their sphere of influence and through their past clients. So we have a process for that. Other than that, they're really not, they're not encouraged, or they're not pushed, or they're not asked to generate any leads whatsoever. We deliver leads to their phone. We make the phone ring on a daily basis, on the hourly basis. So they have hundreds of leads that come in pretty much every day. And their goal is to connect with the clients. We think of it as every lead is a question, is an inquiry, is a question from a buyer or seller. They're either asking, is this house a fit for me? What is the price? Can I afford this house? Is this a good neighborhood? Is this a good school? That's the question that usually comes through an inquiry, an internet, online inquiry. And we're turning that inquiry into a lifetime relationship. So there's that process that that inquiry starts with, that we essentially help nurture and we help connect. So with the technology and human relationship, we make it that we're going to turn that question or inquiry into a lifetime relationship.
Wow. So with people don't. So your agents don't have to pay for the leads. So basically, their job is simply to convert them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's essentially the main thing, is to connect with the client, to meet the client, to serve the client, to provide a wow experience so the client comes back again for more.
Wow. That's a pretty big value proposition. And say if a client, is an agent allowed to bring in people from their database? Like, is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They're encouraged and incentivized too. Absolutely. Okay. There's no one that's going to serve them better than them. So we want to help them through technology and through marketing to communicate to their database, communicate to their sphere of influence, so they become the top of mind for their family and friends, and they become their connection to the real estate industry.
So you're taking away a lot of the uncertainty then out of real estate, which is what a lot of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things, absolutely. And that's one of the things that essentially what I thought of when I first started, is that it didn't make sense for me that someone who's competent, someone who's a great professional would struggle for 6 months to a year to do one transaction the first year. That's a recipe to lose a lot of good people. And it's a terrible environment for talented people to come into our industry. Essentially, is the turn for good people to come into our industry. So that's part of what I was thinking in the beginning when I was designing this, is to create a space for amazing people, great talented people to come into our industry, grow and thrive. And it couldn't be more clear after this COVID-19 situation. We're still growing. We're still, I believe it's about 30% higher than last year, month over month, for January, February, and March. Our April is looking good as well. Obviously we could have done an additional 10% this year, but our agents are closing transactions. Our agents are connecting with clients. Our clients are, buying and
so
selling.
Let's talk about a little bit more about the COVID-19 time.
Yeah.
What has your daily business and routine as a company looked like since the most recent epidemic? What has changed? What are you doing? Are you doing anything differently? Obviously there are some certain restrictions in place. Dive into a little bit more on that for me, if you don't mind.
Well, for our team, as a team, for the agents, the only thing that changed is location. Obviously, we can't be together in the office. I'm still in the office by myself. I still come every day because I just like being in the office. But most of our agents are out, working from home and and connecting with their clients through technology. We still have the same cadence of meetings. We're still doing our role plays every day, every morning. We have role plays every morning at 10. We have 2 meetings every week, team meetings and prospecting, objection handling, sales meetings. We still have the one-on-one schedules, at the same time. When we have to break out into small groups for specific projects, we still do that. Everything's through Zoom or Google Hangout. We're still interviewing agents. We just hired one today. Well, not today, this week. He started on Monday. We talked via Zoom. We started the training, all that stuff. We're still hiring. We're still, people are still coming in, and we're training and helping people start their real estate careers. So nothing really changed except the physical element of it. So, it's the same for our clients. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Is there a cost of bringing on new agents, especially during this time?
A cost to us or to the agents?
To you.
Say it again.
To you. Is there a cost to Homearly right now?
Nothing. There is always a cost, but nothing different than the normal, time. And I mean, it's our cost of acquisition in terms of marketing is still the same. Training and the resources, marketing, all that stuff is still the same. Yeah, we're still investing. We have not stopped investing in our team. We're still acquiring clients and acquiring agents, and yeah, the process never stopped. We're still investing at the same level. When everybody else is, laying off, we're kept our people and we're hiring more. So yeah, we haven't laid off anybody. So yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So we've kind of touched a little bit about Zillow. We've talked about what you guys are doing right now, how you guys are processing leads. What do you think about the other internet players, Redfin, your iBuyers? What do you foresee the real estate industry turning into as a result of those, or do you see them affecting real estate at all?
Well, that's a great question. I think they're essentially delivering a specific value proposition to a small niche of clients. So there are clients that want to sell their house 70 cents on the dollar for convenience and for expediency and for speed. Obviously right now all the iBuyers have left the market and they're not acquiring anything,
Right.
and so which is natural because of the cycle, because where we're at, there's a lot of uncertainty around where home values are going. And it's just uncertainty, not necessarily a reality, but it's uncertainty. And a lot of these companies are highly leveraged. They have a lot of debt. They don't have a lot of profit. This segment in particular is not profitable yet. And it can be profitable at the top of the cycle. So you'll see these players essentially arrive at the cycle from the bottom. They'll come in as they have certainty that the market is going up, and they'll ride it for 5 to 6 years. And as soon as they feel there's turbulence at the top, they'll exit and they'll come back again in a couple of years. It's a niche product. It's a niche service. It delivers a value proposition. We are building our own iBuyer because we know there's value there, but it's not for everyone. And I don't think. Say it again.
You're building an iBuyer program for you.
Absolutely, yeah. We started last year, and then we're tweaking it now to actually expand it. But it's again, it's a niche. It's probably going to be no more than 10% of the market, maybe 15% of the market. It's a good chunk of the market if you're a national operator. But it will get a lot of competition as well. The barrier to entry is not very high, and it'll be a commodity. So it won't. It's not. They're essentially just competing with the normal one-off investor who goes and buys, knocks the door and try to buy a home 70, 60, 70, 80%, 80 cents on the dollar. So as far as Redfin started out with a great value proposition, from the agent standpoint, but like with anything, it's very hard to execute at scale. You know, when you're doing something at a national level and mass, it's very hard to execute, and it's very hard to deliver the client promise. You know, so for them, we're going to be there. We're going to be essentially kind of like Uber. You just push button, and we're going to show up to show your house. So a particular, and for you to have that efficiency and have that speed, you have to have a lot of people that are going to rotate. So one client may be working with five, six showing agents, and they never see the same person. They have to tell their story every time to every person. So essentially, we'll just have people that are going to be opening doors, and that can be replaced by some app or some technology. The buyer's agent role is a lot bigger than that. And it's more like think of it kind of like a curator, like a financial advisor. They sit down with the client, they go through a process to understand, a discovery process to understand the client, to understand their lifestyle, to understand their needs. And they're knowledgeable enough to understand the market, understand the communities where this client can be served best. And then, take that client, connect that client with that house that's going to deliver, the community, the lifestyle that they're dreaming about. And
what you're saying is that basically the Redfin model doesn't really appropriately match up with the consumer's needs currently.
Absolutely, especially in the first-time home buyer segment, because they need advice, they need guidance, they need someone to hold their hand and guide them through this process. The Redfin model, essentially, it's about speed, it's about expediency. You know where you want to go, I'm going to take you. It's kind of like an Uber. Hey, if you want to go from A to Z, I'm going to take you there. But if you need a guide, if you're in a city that you don't know and you want to discover the city and you spent money to come to Venice, you need a guide. You need someone who's going to show you the best restaurants, the best, churches, the best plazas and all that stuff. So that whole experience has to be guided, has to be a Sherpa that's taking you through the path to be able to get the most value out of that experience, and also to help you solve the problems that you may face. And if they don't understand who you are, they don't understand what you're about, they don't understand your lifestyle, they don't understand your personality, there's no way they're going to be able to deliver that value.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That 100% makes sense. So we spoke a little bit about where the economy and where the real estate is going and kind of how it's morphing. Can you dive into what you really see real estate turning into, if there is anything, or do you kind of foresee it relatively?
No, I think the role of the agent is not going to change. We might see an extension of or disappearance of the listing agent. We might, in certain situations, we might, you need a solid, strong listing agent, but we might see the listing agent part go away. But a good buyer's agent cannot be replaced. If I want to go buy property, if today I want to go buy property in Palm Beach, there's no way I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to go find the best agent in that community, someone who understands the specifics of that community, who understands the neighborhoods, who understands the properties, someone who's going to spend some time with me, understand who I am and what I'm looking for, and help me find it. Or just tell me that I can't. That Palm Beach may not be the area for me. Maybe I should go somewhere else. And you're not going to be able to find a replacement to that unless we start. Unless we get some artificial intelligence that's going to be able to deliver that. But until then, the buyer's agent role is not going to change. The value is going to be there. And the clients are going to appreciate that human connection and understanding.
Gotcha. So larger question. where do you see the economy heading?
Yeah. Can you hold on one second? I think my phone is about to die. So let me connect this thing real quick. I thought it was gonna last a little bit longer.
We'll just cut right there. I could just redo it.
You gonna cut it right there? All right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, no, and then we'll get rid of this. So.
All right. Cool. What was that question again?
Do you want me to ask that one? The economy?
Yeah. So, you're talking about the economy. Okay. All right.
1 second. So you told us where you foresee real estate going. Well, so you told us where you foresee real estate going. Now, a little bit bigger picture, where do you see the economy heading, considering the coronavirus, everything that's going on right now? What are your thoughts?
It's a great question. That's the $64 million question. My humble opinion, having lived through a bunch of these, I think this COVID-19 recession, if we have a recession, because there's also an opinion out there about the fact that we did not have a negative growth in the first quarter, which is okay, let me go back. A recession is defined by 2 consecutive negative growth quarters. So the first quarter, we did not have a negative growth quarter. And the second quarter, we will. Obviously, when you have 20% employment, you will. But we do know that halfway through this quarter, the economy will be opening up. Some states already opened up. So the economy will be opening up. And a lot of that unemployment is going to go down. It may not go down to what it was before, like 3% employment rate, but it'll probably go down to probably about 8%. And so that recovery is going to create a growth in itself, which is going to make that third quarter, either flat or a growth, a high growth quarter. Everybody's talking about a V-shaped type. It might not be, it might be like an L. So, but there will be a growth in the third quarter, and then there will be, further more growth in the fourth quarter. There always is, because of Christmas and all the shopping that happens during that time. So there's an opinion from economists that we won't have a recession at all. There's a fear of a recession, but we won't have a recession. So because of the drop or the increase of unemployment, it's a shock to the system, and the consumption has gone down. But at the same time, we came into this economy with 2 things as far as real estate is concerned. We came into the economy with very low inventory. There's 30% lower inventory this January than last January. So between January 2019 and January 2020, there's a 30% drop in inventory of homes. So we started out with a low inventory, and we started out with strong demand. And after COVID-19, the demand went down, obviously, and the number of sales went down by 25-30% based on the price point, based on the area. And the consumer came into this economic crisis with high saving rates, the highest we've ever seen, 8% saving rate, we've ever seen that. Business in general has been slowing down their investments the last 2 years. They've been getting ready for some type of slowdown that's coming. Everybody was thinking something is coming. So everybody slowed down their investment, their CapEx. So you have the consumer that's been saving, companies that have been saving, and low inventory, and now we have this drop in employment, and then it's gonna, as we open up, it's gonna come back up again. A lot of the unemployment, a lot of the layoffs happened just because of uncertainty, because people just didn't know. Companies didn't know, so they had to, preserve cash and lay off people, and let the government pay unemployment insurance. And so a lot of those people are going to come back as the economy opens up. and we will come back to some semblance of normal. It won't be the same. It will be probably 20% less consumption. It might be in certain industries, obviously restaurants and travel. But the rest of the economy is not all restaurants and travel. There's a bigger economy out there, and that will come back. Those jobs will come back. And so we should be seeing, growth in the third quarter and a more accelerated growth in the fourth quarter. And because the government has dumped, trillions and trillions of dollars, and I mean, you can't even keep count of the amount of money that's been dumped on the economy, and then the amount of money that's been sent out to people who are not spending it. A lot of people are going to have cash to spend, and a lot of businesses and a lot of venture capitalists and a lot of banks are going to have a lot of cheap money to lend. And if you can lend it cheap to companies that can generate a return, that's going to create more employment. So you can count on it that 2021 is going to be like super hot just because of the amount of money that's been dumped into the economy. So I tend to be more positive on this than what's on the news, and I'm a contrarian. So whenever the news goes too positive, then I'm on the negative side, and whenever it goes too negative, then I'm on the positive side. And that's how usually most of the biggest investors think and see the economy going.
Well, Jay, I really appreciate your viewpoints and you taking the time to share with me what makes Homearly ticks and how you've gotten to where you are. And I'm excited to share this with everyone. Thank you so much. Rock.
Awesome.
Hey guys, please remember to like and subscribe my page. I really appreciate your support.